Check out this clip of Sam Altman showing a seriously unusual reaction during a chat with an interviewer known for going easy on big tech. His expression says more than words ever could. It's strange, almost tense, like he's caught off guard. Let's break down what really went down in that moment.
How can a company with 13 billion in revenues make 1.4 trillion of spend commitments? And you've heard the criticism,
First
Sam.
of all, we're doing well more revenue than that. Second of all, Brad, if you want to sell your shares, I'll find you a buyer. Enough.
So, why does Sam Altman look so uneasy in that moment? It's not like the interviewer said anything wild, just mentioned a simple fact. OpenAI has pledged to pour over $1 trillion into AI infrastructure over the next 8 years, even though the company only makes about $13 billion in steady yearly revenue. That's less than 1% of what they're planning to spend. Sounds like a massive leap of faith, doesn't it? And honestly, even if you're not some finance expert, that number feels off. It's like trying to buy a mansion with a studio apartment paycheck. What's even crazier is that a big chunk of the so-called economic growth predicted for 2025 in the US comes from AI-related investments. The entire boom seems built on a bold promise from tech leaders, especially Sam Altman, that once machines hit a certain level of intelligence, every major human problem will magically start to fade away. But can AI really deliver on such a huge promise?
The housing crisis, cancer, poverty, climate change,
mental health,
democracy,
universal basic income,
cure a bunch of diseases,
this cancer and that one, and heart disease,
helping you try to accomplish your goals and be your best.
very high quality healthcare.
important new scientific discoveries. The marginal cost of energy are going to trend rapidly towards zero. The more equal world.
Universal extreme wealth for everybody.
Sam Altman's pitch to society sounds massive. He's basically asking everyone to put everything we've got into his vision. Our data, our economy, even our resources like water and energy. He wants it all under one umbrella, his. And in return, he's offering what feels like one giant just trust me, bro promise. But should we really trust him? Should we just accept this deal without question? And even more, do we even have a real choice in the matter? Because here's the thing. Altman isn't exactly a scientist or a hardcore engineer. He's not the one building the code or wiring the systems himself. He's an investor and a master deal maker. And yeah, he's really good at playing that game. But if you look closely, his entire career has been one long string of trust me moments that could go either way. So, let's break down this so-called deal he's putting on the table. Can his promises actually hold up, and what happens to the rest of us if they don't? To really understand that, we've got to rewind to his early days in the tech world. Altman's first major move was with a startup called Looped, a social app designed to help people locate their friends. It was the kind of idea that only worked if everyone used it. Otherwise, you'd basically just be tracking yourself. The whole concept relied on ubiquity, getting it everywhere and into everyone's hands as fast as possible. But here's where things got shady. Loop refused to share how many users they actually had. Altman kept claiming there were way more users than any other similar service. But when the truth finally came out, the reality was wild. Near the end, Loop only had around 500 users total. Just 500. A far cry from the huge success story he made it sound like. When Reuters exposed the truth about Loop's user numbers, Sam Altman wasn't having it. He fired back, claiming the app had 100 times more users than reported and even promised to show proof. But that evidence never surfaced. Another classic just trust me, bro moment. Eventually, Loop got scooped up by the Green Dot Corporation. But here's the twist. They shut it down right after buying it. The tech wasn't reused. The service vanished, and the whole deal started to smell suspicious. Investors at Green Dot later alleged that the acquisition was a setup, a shady move designed to quietly benefit Sequoia Capital, the venture firm that had invested in Looped and just so happened to have two of its members sitting on Green Dot's board. Altman didn't stick around for long either. As soon as his legal restrictions lifted, he bounced, walking away with millions from an app that was completely dead. No product, no users, no future. Yet, he walked off like a winner. But luck seemed to follow him everywhere. Not long after, Peter Thiel, yes, the same billionaire who co-founded PayPal, stepped in. Thiel once even described Altman as a kind of messiah figure. And that's exactly how he treated him. He handed Altman millions to launch his own venture capital fund called Hydrain Capital. And that wasn't all. Soon after, Altman leveled up again, taking on the role of president at Y Combinator, the same powerful startup incubator that had funded his first company Looped. Things were just getting started for him.
The operative idea seems to be ubiquity. I mean, get it out there in more ways than you can possibly imagine.
And make it available to everybody.
Sam Altman didn't just hold power. He used it to his full advantage. According to The New Yorker, up to 75% of Hydrain Capital's money was poured right back into Y Combinator startups. That's a massive overlap, and it wasn't supposed to happen. Altman had publicly promised he wouldn't cross-invest in YC companies. Yet the numbers tell a totally different story. Another trust me moment that doesn't quite add up at this point. That's two major claims falling apart. The inflated user base of Looped and now his hidden investments through Hydrain. Each one makes his business moves look more like a carefully crafted illusion than coincidence. Then in 2015, Altman made his next big play. The move that would define his public legacy and launch him into global recognition. He led Y Combinator straight into one of the boldest tech investments of the decade, the one most people associate his name with today.
I think the president of YC is sort of the unofficial leader of the startup movement.
OpenAI came onto the scene with huge promises and an even bigger mission. It was introduced as a non-profit, the OpenAI Foundation, with a bold charter claiming it would serve humanity first. The goal sounded almost utopian. Protect people from harmful uses of AI, prevent any one group from hoarding too much power, and make sure employees and investors stayed free of conflicts of interest. It was all about building a future where artificial intelligence worked for everyone. Sounds noble, right? But when it came time to show proof of those ideals in action, what did we get? Nothing but another round of just trust me, bro. Behind the non-profit image stood some of tech's most powerful names. Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, Reid Hoffman, and Elon Musk, backed by major companies like Amazon Web Services and Infosys. It was a lineup of billionaires funding a project that claimed to exist for the good of humanity.
Sort of a semi-company, semi-nonprofit doing AI safety research.
But here's the catch. OpenAI isn't just offering innovation. It's asking for everything in return. The company wants society to hand over its biggest assets, our electricity, water, infrastructure, capital, and yes, even our data, writing, and art. They're asking the world to adapt to job losses, deep fakes, and massive social changes, all while promising that someday the technology they're building will make everything better. Sounds like a wild deal, doesn't it? In essence, it's society putting all its eggs in one massive basket, and that basket belongs to OpenAI. But can we really trust Sam Altman with that kind of power and responsibility? To figure that out, we've got to unpack some of his biggest public claims and promises. Altman repeatedly insists that he doesn't personally own any of OpenAI and that he barely takes a salary from the company. That's quite a statement, but does it tell the full story?
I paid enough for health insurance. I have no equity in OpenAI. I'm doing this because I love it.
Altman doesn't try to hide his wealth. He's already incredibly rich and he's fully aware of it. Instead of downplaying it, he leans into the image almost like he's playing the role of a modern-day tech savior using his fortune to make the world better. He paints himself as the billionaire visionary out to rescue humanity through innovation, not gadgets or hero suits. But is this really about progress or just power dressed up as goodwill? Now, here's where things get even messier. It all ties right back to Sam Altman's ongoing honesty problem. And it connects perfectly to that eggs in one basket idea. Because Altman isn't just leading OpenAI, he's also financially invested in the very systems that keep it running. One of the most crucial things OpenAI depends on is data. Massive amounts of it. You can't train a large language model without oceans of real-world content. Text, conversations, articles, you name it. And one of the biggest sources of that data just happens to be Reddit. Here's where it gets interesting. Altman owns a major stake in Reddit and even sat on its board until 2022. That's not a random connection either. Reddit actually launched in the same original Y Combinator class as Altman's first startup, Looped. There's even an old photo from 2005 showing him standing next to Aaron Swartz, Reddit's co-founder and one of the internet's most brilliant minds. Tragically, Schwartz died in 2013 after facing legal charges for making academic research publicly accessible, an act driven by his belief in open information for all. Fast forward to 2015, and Altman struck a deal with Reddit that completely flipped that ideal on its head. The agreement allowed OpenAI to, as the company put it, aggressively scrape nearly everything posted on the platform to feed its AI systems. That's right. Every comment, every meme, every conversation could be pulled in as training material. Alexis Ohanian, another Reddit co-founder, reportedly felt deep discomfort about that decision. He believed it went against the spirit of what Reddit originally stood for. It was like a corporate twist on Aaron Swartz's vision, where Schwartz wanted to open access to knowledge for everyone. Altman's move was about using that knowledge to power his product. And let's not forget, back in 2014, Altman publicly promised that he and other investors would give 10% of Reddit's value back to its own community. That plan quietly vanished, blamed on regulatory issues, and was never fulfilled. When you start looking closely at where Altman's wealth flows, it becomes clear. His investments connect deeply to almost every resource OpenAI relies on. From data pipelines to infrastructure, it's all intertwined, giving him influence not just over AI, but over the systems that fuel it. Sam Altman's web of investment stretches far beyond software. He's got money tied up in nearly every piece of the puzzle needed to keep AI running. He's backed companies that make AI networking equipment, firms developing thermal battery systems, and even businesses that mine rare earth metals, the same materials needed to power massive server farms. But here's the twist. Once all this infrastructure is in place, Altman stands to profit not just from AI's success, but also from the chaos and problems that AI itself creates. Let's break it down. There are three major areas where this overlap becomes obvious: rising energy costs, misuse of AI, like fraud and deepfakes, and massive job displacement that could shake entire economies. Altman keeps repeating that OpenAI's biggest need right now is more power. Literally, his bold long-term goal to build 250 gigawatts of energy capacity by 2033. That's enough electricity to power 1.5 billion people, roughly the entire population of India. So how does he plan to pull that off? The answer lies in one of his oldest business friendships with Peter Thiel. Since the early 2000s, both Thiel and Altman have been fascinated by nuclear energy. Now, on its own, nuclear power isn't necessarily bad. It's efficient and in many cases cleaner than fossil fuels. But what raises eyebrows is that Thiel and Altman don't just want to support nuclear, they want to own it. Altman has heavily invested in two nuclear ventures. Helion Energy and Oklo Incorporated. Helen is trying to achieve something that's long been seen as the holy grail of clean power: nuclear fusion. The catch? Many scientists doubt it can be done anytime soon, if ever. Meanwhile, Oklo is working on microreactors, tiny truck-sized nuclear power units that could be placed almost anywhere. And when you connect the dots, the strategy becomes clear. Altman isn't just betting on AI. He's building the infrastructure to control the very energy that powers it. It's a move that could make him one of the most powerful figures in the entire tech energy world.
Part of our model is make the cost of mistakes really low and then make a lot of mistakes.
But as of now, Oklo Incorporated hasn't cracked the code on those reactors yet. The dream of compact nuclear power is still just that, a dream. Instead of delivering clean fusion energy, the company's been relying on traditional gas to keep their operations and promises afloat. It's a far cry from the futuristic energy revolution they've been selling to investors and the public. And it raises serious questions about how real their progress actually is.
Nuclear startup Oklo and natural gas firm Liberty Energy today announcing a partnership to provide energy to large-scale customers.
Altman's business reach doesn't stop at building AI. He's also investing heavily in the companies that protect people from AI. He's got stakes in startups focused on identity verification to combat deepfakes, platforms that defend against AI-driven scams, and even insurance firms designed to cover losses caused by hacking and AI fraud. It's like he's positioning himself on both sides of the battlefield, creating the tech and selling the shields to guard against it. It's almost as if someone built a whole empire off every possible angle. Imagine a guy who doesn't profit from chaos directly, but sells chaos insurance right after helping invent it. That's the kind of full-circle business model Altman seems to be mastering. And then there's another one of his biggest promises, the claim that once AI becomes powerful enough to replace huge portions of the global workforce, it'll also generate so much new wealth that it can be shared with everyone. He's been selling that idea as a kind of futuristic economic miracle. But if that sounds familiar, it should. It echoes his old Reddit promise where he vowed to give back 10% of the company's value to the community, a pledge that never came true. And in 2024, Altman rolled out what he claimed would finally make that vision real. A brand new product built to spread this supposed shared abundance across the world.
WorldCoin.
WorldCoin. WorldCoin. WorldCoin.
That big promise came in the form of WorldCoin, a bold mix of tech startup and cryptocurrency venture funded by many of the same high-profile figures who seem to back every major AI project out there. Supporters pitch WorldCoin as a futuristic fix for the economic fallout that's coming when artificial intelligence takes over millions of jobs. The idea? Use crypto as a way to hand out universal basic income, a sort of financial safety net for everyone affected by automation. It sounds revolutionary on paper, but the people behind it aren't exactly known for selflessness. With the same tech giants and investors pulling the strings, the question becomes, is this really about helping people or about controlling the next global economy?
I think this idea that we have a global currency that is outside of the control of any government is a super logical and important step on the tech tree.
WorldCoin isn't just pitching itself as a futuristic currency. It's also trying to position itself as the ultimate fix for AI's growing identity verification crisis. The company promotes the use of high-tech metal orbs that scan a person's eyes to confirm they're a real human. The catch? You don't get access to your supposed universal basic income until you let one of these orbs scan your biometric data. That's right. No iris scan, no payment. And like many of Sam Altman's other ventures, from Loop to ChatGPT, this system only works if everyone uses it. For a currency or ID system to have any real-world value, it has to be universally adopted. So once again, Altman is making that same familiar offer. Give us your data, your identity, your trust, and in return, we'll fix everything. It's the same just trust me approach that's followed him his whole career. The bigger picture starts to look even more ambitious. It's almost as if Altman is quietly building an entirely new economy, a backup world that could replace the one we're living in if the current system collapses. And surprisingly, the timeline of OpenAI's own transformation lines right up with this idea. Back in 2019, OpenAI dropped its non-profit label and formed a for-profit branch, completely changing its structure. Then by 2024, that branch was spun off into a fully separate corporate entity. This new version of OpenAI no longer had the same legal responsibilities or moral promises that the original foundation once made to benefit humanity. With that shift came a new wave of heavyweight investors. Microsoft jumped in first, putting down a staggering $13 billion, money that OpenAI mostly spent on Microsoft's own cloud infrastructure and services. But it didn't stop there. Tech giant Nvidia pledged another $100 billion over the next few years, which OpenAI plans to use buying, you guessed it, Nvidia chips. And the pattern keeps repeating. Similar circular deals are already in place with AMD, the Qatar government, and Larry Ellison's Oracle. It's a network of power players all feeding into each other, creating a self-sustaining tech empire. So while OpenAI started with the promise of open collaboration and transparency, it's now looking more like a tightly controlled ecosystem, one where Sam Altman's influence stretches from data and energy to identity, currency, and beyond. At this point, it feels like the entire global economy is riding on the success or failure of Sam Altman's grand vision. Every major tech giant, investor, and government deal seems to loop back to his projects in one way or another. It's as if the world's financial future has been quietly hitched to Altman's ambitions, and there's no clear way to detach from it now.
We might screw it up. Like, this is the bet that we're making, and we're taking a risk along with that.
But that raises a serious question. Who exactly is we in this massive global bet on OpenAI's future? Who's really holding the reins and taking the financial risk behind all of this? To get a clearer picture, let's look at what OpenAI's chief financial officer has said about the company's direction and the stakes involved. It might surprise you.
Banks, private equity, maybe even governmental, the ways governments can come to bear.
Meaning like a federal subsidy or something?
Meaning like just first of all, the backstop, the guarantee that allows the financing to happen.
Even through all the hesitation and careful wording, OpenAI's CFO made one thing crystal clear. The government and by extension taxpayers are now helping keep the AI dream alive. In other words, public money is quietly being funneled into stabilizing and supporting one of the most expensive tech projects ever attempted. And that's where things start to look unsettling. The entire structure depends on the faith people have in Sam Altman's leadership. A man whose track record shows a pattern of broken promises and bold claims that don't always hold up. So, when you really stop and think about it, this isn't just a tech experiment anymore. It's a system powered by public funds, billionaire influence, and massive trust in a single figure. Maybe it's time to ask whether that trust has been earned or just cleverly marketed. Now, fast forward to today, and the story around Sam Altman and OpenAI has only gotten more intense. Since his dramatic firing and near-instant reinstatement by OpenAI's board in late 2023, Altman's grip on the company has grown even tighter. What was once marketed as a non-profit mission for humanity has now evolved into a global power player with massive commercial interests, partnered deeply with Microsoft, Nvidia, and governments around the world. By 2026, OpenAI isn't just an AI company. It's become a cornerstone of the global tech economy. Its models like ChatGPT and GPT-5 are being used in education, medicine, finance, and even military research. According to public partnerships disclosed with Microsoft's Azure government cloud. But the real twist, Altman's new focus seems to go far beyond software. He's now positioning himself as a kind of infrastructure king, aiming to control the physical backbone that powers AI itself. Take his latest moves. Altman's continued involvement with Helen Energy and Oklo Incorporated is still front and center. In 2025, Helen signed a historic deal with Microsoft to provide fusion-generated electricity by 2028, even though the technology still hasn't been proven at scale. Meanwhile, Oklo, where Altman serves as chairman, successfully went public in early 2024 through a SPA merger backed by Altman's own Hydrogen Capital, tying his financial success directly to nuclear development. And let's not forget the WorldCoin project. It's grown, but not without massive controversy. Governments in France, Germany, and Kenya have all launched investigations or temporarily halted its operations due to privacy and biometric data concerns, especially around those infamous iris-scanning orbs. Still, Altman continues to push it as a tool for global identity verification, framing it as a solution for the digital age. While critics warn it could turn into a global surveillance system in disguise, at this stage, Altman isn't just a CEO. He's a central figure in the conversation about how far technology should go and who gets to control it. The web of connections, Microsoft, Nvidia, Thiel, Ellison, and even national governments has turned OpenAI into something much bigger than its original mission statement. The question now isn't whether AI will change everything. It's whether anyone outside of this small circle of power will have a say in what comes next. As of 2026, the ripple effects of Sam Altman's empire are showing up everywhere. From the energy sector to government policy, what once looked like a tech founder's dream is now shaping up to be one of the most powerful corporate ecosystems in the world, blurring the line between public infrastructure and private control. Let's start with the money flow. Microsoft, which still holds a 49% profit stake in OpenAI's for-profit arm, has continued to expand its integration of OpenAI's models into its core products like Windows, Office, and Azure Cloud. According to Microsoft's latest filings, these integrations have generated tens of billions in new revenue streams since 2024. Meanwhile, OpenAI has begun licensing its technology to other giants, including Apple, which in 2025 reportedly struck a deal to bring OpenAI's chatbot capabilities to iOS as part of Apple's new AI ecosystem. That move put Altman's models in the hands of hundreds of millions of users overnight. But the collaboration between big tech and big energy is what's really heating up. Altman's companies are working hand-in-hand with energy players like Liberty Energy and Helion, aiming to build self-sustaining AI data centers powered by next-generation energy sources. In mid-2025, Helion announced progress toward its first fusion demonstration reactor, still unproven, but heavily backed by Altman's network. Analysts have noted that if Helion succeeds, Altman could essentially own both the intelligence and the energy powering the future tech economy. On the geopolitical front, the Qatar Investment Authority and other sovereign wealth funds have reportedly injected billions into OpenAI's hardware and infrastructure projects, linking state interests directly to the company's global expansion. That's raised eyebrows among regulators in both the US and Europe, with growing debates around national security, data protection, and the monopolization of compute power. And while OpenAI continues to promote its mission to benefit humanity, critics from outlets like the New Yorker and MIT Technology Review argue that the company has drifted far from its original open-source roots instead of transparency. OpenAI now operates more like a corporate fortress, tightly guarding its research, partnerships, and financial structure. So, as of now, Sam Altman isn't just at the center of an AI revolution. He's orchestrating a full-scale shift in global power dynamics. The real question the world faces going into the next decade is this: will these breakthroughs actually serve the public good? Or are we watching the rise of a new digital empire with one man at the helm? By early 2026, Sam Altman's influence has stretched even further, and OpenAI's reach is almost impossible to ignore. What started as a bold experiment in safe artificial intelligence has now evolved into a global infrastructure layer that touches nearly every major tech and financial institution on 2026 the planet. But that success hasn't come without serious backlash and growing skepticism from regulators, researchers, and even OpenAI's own community. One of the most defining moments came in late 2025 when OpenAI officially launched GPT-5, its most advanced model yet. The system showed major improvements in reasoning, long context memory, and autonomy, so advanced that some experts began warning it could perform certain professional-level tasks with minimal oversight. Governments from the European Union, Canada, and Japan quickly pushed for stricter AI accountability laws, citing the growing risk of misinformation, job displacement, and opaque corporate control. Meanwhile, tensions inside OpenAI have continued to simmer following the 2023 leadership crisis, when Altman was briefly fired by his board before being reinstated just days later. Reports in The Information and Reuters suggest that internal disagreements over safety versus profit are still ongoing. Several key researchers have quietly left the company over the past year, moving to rivals like Anthropic and xAI, founded by Elon Musk after his split from OpenAI. These departures highlight a deep divide between those who want to push AI limits and those who fear what happens if they do. At the same time, Altman's WorldCoin has made a cautious comeback despite ongoing investigations. In early 2026, the project began testing a World ID program in select countries where local regulators gave conditional approval. The idea is to create a verifiable proof of personhood system for distinguishing humans from AI bots online, a goal now backed by some governments exploring digital identity standards. Yet critics, including privacy advocates and digital rights organizations, warned that linking biometric data to cryptocurrency could open the door to mass surveillance or financial exploitation. Financially, OpenAI remains on top of the world. With over $100 billion in valuation and continued backing from Microsoft and sovereign wealth funds, it's one of the most valuable private companies on Earth. But the narrative is shifting. More people are starting to question whether Altman's empire represents innovation or consolidation of global power in the hands of a few tech elites. The next chapter of this story might decide not just the fate of OpenAI, but the balance of control over the digital future itself. If you thought this story was wild, just wait until you see what's next. The next video dives even deeper into the hidden power players and shocking connections you probably never knew existed behind the world of AI, big money, and global influence. Click right here and go watch it now. You won't believe who's involved this time. But before you go, what do you think about everything you just learned in this story? Do you see Sam Altman as a visionary building the future, or as someone quietly shaping it for his own control? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm seriously curious how you see.